It's 2:06 on Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to The John Phillips Show. Johnny's on vacation. He'll be back on Tuesday. Monday's Labor Day, everybody. We're almost at the long weekend. It's Randy Wang here. The phone number, 800-222-KABC. You're going to need that number at 2:30 when we open up the phones for Throwback Thursday, but don't call yet because that doesn't count. It, of course, is Woo Wednesday.
It's Woo Wednesday. Yeah, baby. Woo, 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 woo.
You can follow me on social media at Randy Wang Radio. That's Randy Wang Radio. You can see the pork tenderloin and butternut squash that I made last night. It was delicious. And, of course, paired it with a nice Pinot Noir. And you can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Alex writes in and let me know that before Eunice Hernandez was a member of the LA City Council and before she was a community organizer, she tried out to be one of the backup girls for Ray Charles.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back.
No! 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 No!
She didn't get the job. Now, here in the state of California, since 2018, we have had recreational legal weed. In fact, since 1996, we've pretty much had recreational legal weed thanks to medical marijuana. I was one of the many people who, going back to 2007, got my prescription for my medical card so I could get all the weed I needed. I think I would say insomnia, and sometimes I would say anxiety, but at least I wasn't dumb enough as a 21-year-old to say glaucoma. But I quit smoking pot entirely over 6 years ago. Haven't touched the stuff since April of 2017. And it wasn't any huge reason. It's not like I had some disastrous consequence. I'm sure a lot of people listening went through the same thing. You get to a certain age, and that crap hits you way differently, and it was causing me massive anxiety attacks, and weaning myself off of it took a little time, but all of a sudden, people around here started telling me, boy, you sound smarter than you used to. And once I heard that, I love that positive reinforcement. I just couldn't look back. I still enjoy myself. I just talked about the Pinot Noir I had last night. But, I had a 10-year love affair with weed, but I don't do it anymore. But after I quit, they made it legal for everybody. And one of the big selling ideas of legalizing pot was it was going to wipe out the black market. There would be no more illegal pot drug dealers. There would be more illegal grow operations. And it turns out in the 5 years since we legalized marijuana, that's not true at all. In fact, the illegal marijuana industry is bigger than the legal marijuana industry in the state of California. But don't you worry, because there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Attorney General Rob Bonta. This guy.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion, and this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
That's right. He wants to do something about the illegal marijuana operations, the illegal stores, the drug dealers, the grow operations in places like the Antelope Valley that are stealing precious water resources. Some of these operations are cartel-based. He wants to do something about it. And Rob Bonta is armed with the weapon he knows how to use best, his buckets full of cliches.
So it is unprecedented, it is historic, it is important, it is impactful.
This man knows how to say absolutely nothing.
So it is unprecedented, it is historic, it is important, it is impactful.
That's right. He had a press conference in Fresno where he detailed what his office, the Attorney General's office of the state of California, the California Department of Justice, what they were going to do to crack down on the illegal marijuana industry because it is suffocating the legal marijuana industry. Because as far as I know, it's cheaper to buy the illegal stuff than the legal stuff. That being said, you are much less likely to get fentanyl laced in your weed if you buy it through a legal dispensary. But hey, let's see what he's got. Maybe he has some actual policy proposals here and not just buckets full of cliches.
We appreciate the partnership. We appreciate the collaboration. We know that when we work together, we can get more done. And that's what our shared constituents expect of us, to team up, to join forces, to work together, to get out of our silos and attack the common problems that are impacting their lives. And so that's what we're here to announce today.
You know, it's funny. When you do this for a living and you listen to these people constantly, you just are always anticipating for them to do the thing you want them to do. I will listen to hours of an LA County Board of Supervisors meeting just to hear someone say,
quite frankly.
And I will listen to a Rob Bonta press conference just to hear him deliver buckets full of nothing like this cliche bomb.
We appreciate the partnership. We appreciate the collaboration. We know that when we work together, we can get more done. And that's what our shared constituents expect of us, to team up, to join forces, to work together, to get out of our silos and attack the common problems that are impacting their lives. And so that's what we're here to announce today.
But don't you worry. He's here to defend the legal pot dealers and go after the illegal ones.
California is known throughout the country as a leader in the world of cannabis.
Don't people think of Colorado for that? We did do medical marijuana first.
We were the first state to establish a medicinal marijuana program way back in 1996, and the fifth state to legalize adult use cannabis in 2016. We have the largest, safe, legal, and regulated cannabis market in the entire world.
Boy, California's just doing great. Look at all that pot tourism, except you can get pot pretty much anywhere.
Despite that, illegal, unlicensed cannabis activities continue, unfortunately, to flourish in California. In fact, illegal cultivation, manufacturing, and retail still makes up the majority of California's cannabis activity.
That's got to be an absolute failure of government right there. We finally realized the way that we end the black market is to legalize and regulate the product. But the way we legalized and regulated it was so nonsensical, so onerous, and so expensive, and we have very little to no enforcement for the people who don't want to follow the rules, that there's more illegal pot being cultivated and sold in the state of California than legal. And we're 5 years into this.
There is more illegal and illicit activity than there is legal activity in the state of California. And that set of circumstances, that status quo is unacceptable, and it must change. And it will change through action like we're announcing today.
All right, let's see what he's got for us.
By operating in the shadows of these operations, they skirt laws and regulations.
That's a pretty decent rhyme.
By operating in the shadows of these operations, they skirt laws and regulations.
I love to rhyme.
All right, let's hear the harm that these illegal grow operations are doing, besides stealing all the water in Lancaster.
By operating in the shadows of these operations, they skirt laws and regulations that protect our environment, our workers, our public safety. They put all of those things at risk. They put our workers at risk, our environment at risk, our health and safety at risk. They use highly...
He's getting out of breath because he's talking too fast. Don't worry. Slow down. There's nobody taking this thing live. Very few people were covering it to begin with. And oddly enough, the only reason I have access to this is I saw it when it was being broadcast live because I follow Rob Bonta's YouTube channel like I follow every elected official. And I don't know why, but as soon as the press conference ended, they didn't post it on the website. They left it as unlisted, so I still had access to it because I saved the video. But I feel like he goes through his press conferences, and if he thinks that he doesn't sound bright, he doesn't save them, even though they're public record. But, that's just a little thing that I notice.
They use highly toxic chemicals, like the lethal insecticide carbofuran that is effectively banned in the U.S.
I want organic weed.
In the U.S., but used in these illicit activities. They litter our forests with industrial materials and siphon water away.
If they're doing all these horrible things, shouldn't you, as the Attorney General for the past 2.5 years, be actively doing something about it, not announcing that you're going to do something about it? Where are you with this? Where are the takedowns? I know when Villanueva was sheriff, he made a whole bunch of operations going after the Lancaster pot grow operations, but haven't seen anything for... Actually, he was there at the beginning. But what are you doing now?
Away from communities and farmers already struggling from water scarcity and drought.
Now he's nervous.
And they traffic and exploit workers, keeping them in squalid, isolated sites for months on end with no way out.
So these are some horrible conditions, brazen illegal activities, unlawful working conditions. Time to do something about it. But don't you worry. It's not just that is the reason why we act. It's also because the illegal industry is making the legal industry look like a joke.
At the same time, this underground cannabis market hinders the truly untapped economic potential of legal cannabis operators trying to do business the right way, paying their taxes, creating good California jobs, following the regulations and the rules. But they're being undermined by illicit activities, often right next door.
And they're getting robbed constantly because it's not federally legal yet, so they're all cash businesses.
Business people working hard to stay afloat, pay their employees, contribute to California's economy, and forge a new path forward in what is still a budding industry. So we're at the beginning of making the legal cannabis marketplace successful, and we, of course, are not without our challenges, and what we do early, what we do now, is critical to ensuring that success.
You've been in charge for 2.5 years, and we've had this law in the books for 5. But okay, I've heard the harms. I've heard the potential. It's time to hear what Rob Bonta, the Attorney General, is going to do about this very real problem facing the state of California and an industry that's not raising nearly as much tax money as was promised because there are so many illicit operations. What is the chief law enforcement officer of the state going to do about it? Let's hear it.
And it's a complex problem that local governments and law enforcement grapple with throughout the state, and we are here to announce a model that will provide support, partnership, productivity, and solutions at the local level. So
that was pretty cliched. All right, maybe now we get to the policy. Come on, Bonta.
So that's why I'm proud to be here today to announce the California DOJ's Cannabis Administrative Prosecutor Program, or CAP, C-A-P-P.
Everything's got to be a freaking acronym with these people. I swear, there is somebody that gets paid government money just to come up with acronyms for their programs.
I'm thrilled to announce that the city of Fresno is the first partner to sign on. The CAP program focuses on protecting our environment, our workers, our public safety from the impacts of illegal cannabis activity through administrative enforcement and nuisance abatement.
Wait, what? Nuisance abatement? Administrative efforts? Wait a second. You just told us how horrible these operations are and the horrible conditions these people are working and how it's destroying the environment. And you're going to give them fines?
From the impacts of illegal cannabis activity through administrative enforcement and nuisance abatement. You can get outcomes quickly that way, efficiently that way, by treating illegal cannabis as a public nuisance, a land use issue, and like any other illegal business practice, this program offers a more cost-effective alternative that can be undertaken on a larger scale when criminal prosecution or civil litigation aren't appropriate, necessary, or effective.
That's right. Why arrest any of these people that are breaking state law? No, don't want to do that. Instead, we're going to give them fines. And what if they don't pay the fines? Well, we'll give them tickets. And what if they don't pay the tickets? Well, then we'll give them a subpoena. And what if they violate that? Then we'll give them a ticket.
It allows us to target greedy individuals profiting off illegal businesses and hit them where it really hurts, in their wallet, in their pocketbook.
Let's hear more from the paper tiger himself, Attorney General Rob Bonta, whose solution to the illegal marijuana operation that is devouring the legal marijuana operation is to give them some fines.
When a city or county signs on as a CAP partner, and we hope that Fresno is just the first, and there will be many others. We already have others eager to join us and are raising their hands, and we are forging those partnerships as we speak. They will have access to vital legal, investigative, and administrative support from DOJ's Cannabis Control Section. We'll help them increase the scope of their illicit cannabis enforcement so they can be involved taking down more illicit activity. We'll provide resources and education to build enforcement programs, sharing what we've learned as a player in the space statewide, and provide evidence collection with the hope of pursuing large-scale statewide prosecution of individuals involved in these illegal operations. So we'll see patterns and practices around the state and be able to focus our resources on the most severe violators.
That's right. He, pretending that he's on the wire, wants to go for the top of the fish, the biggest one.
We'll use cost-effective, expedient, and efficient administrative enforcement methods to hold those profiting off these illicit operations.
Every single person when you ever hear any of these progressive prosecutors, and Bonta is one of them, just like a Gascon, just like a Boudin, just like a Pammy Pricey.
Quite frankly.
They all claim when it comes to dealing with illegal drug markets, whether we're talking about pot, which is weird because it's also legal, but this stuff isn't, or the heroin market out there, they all want to go after Avon Barksdale, but they don't want to go after the little guys.
We'll use cost-effective, expedient, and efficient administrative enforcement methods to hold those profiting off these illicit operations accountable. We'll issue citations.
Why send them to jail when we can give them fines?
We'll issue citations, notices of violations, orders to abate the illegal activity. Operators will then have the opportunity.
You know what this is? This is Rob Bonta pulling a Janice Hahn.
That's your final warning.
We'll issue citations, notices of violations, orders to abate the illegal activity. Operators will then have the opportunity to voluntarily shut down. But if they don't, we'll take action to ensure they do.
And why, oh, why are we taking this approach as opposed to taking down the illegal criminal organizations and putting people behind bars? You know it's coming. When we talk about cliches, here's the oldest one in the book for this topic.
So as I close, let me just say this. The proliferation of illegal cannabis activity didn't pop up overnight, and we can't expect it to be eradicated or fully addressed overnight as well. It will take more than one strategy. It is complex. Again, it's multifaceted. It is tangled up in a failed war on drugs.
Here we go. Even though people are flagrantly violating the law, we can't arrest them because that would show that we're still in the war on drugs. Rob Bonta, the war on drugs is over. Drugs won.
And decades when it was criminalized. As our laws have changed, our programs have evolved. And just as important, our mindset has shifted as well. So instead of perpetuating harms from the failed war on drugs.
How dare we arrest anybody that's stealing water from the farmers, that's employing slave labor practices, that's putting poison in their pot, that's putting hardworking taxpayers out of business? How dare we put any of those people behind bars? That would be perpetuating the war on drugs. Instead, we need to give them tickets.
We are moving in different directions and making running an illegal operation more risky and less profitable, more difficult and less desirable. Of course, to be clear, when dangerous criminals are involved and public safety is at risk, we take appropriately aggressive, proportionate law enforcement action, and those actions will continue. That will never change.
I got to imagine when you go onto the property of one of these illegal grow operations, they're armed to the teeth. And they are dangerous. But sure, give them tickets.
But low-level offenders that don't need to be treated as criminals, when we can shut down their operations through the administrative process, we will. And this will allow us to better uplift and support the legal cannabis industry and ensure those businesses can continue to thrive and fuel our economy.
There he is, everyone, the walking bucket full of cliches, Attorney General Rob Bonta.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion. And this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
We got a couple of emails here. Andrew writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Someone should tell Rob Bonta something can't be unprecedented and historic at the same time. Sean writes in, after that press conference, I need a pot permit for myself. You can also email us your suggestions for anything that you think Ulysses Hernandez might have participated in before she got into city council at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. This is really dumb. I'm just going to say that right here. What if Ulysses wanted to try out for the part of Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors.
Are we going to get it?
You're gonna get it.
This is what I do during the commercial breaks. All right, everyone, it's Woo Wednesday.
It's Woo Wednesday. Yeah, baby. Woo, 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 woo. Woo, 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 woo.
And that means tomorrow is Throwback Thursday. If you've got a suggestion for the music we hear on tomorrow's show, your favorite artist, genre, or theme, someone emailed us with a fantastic idea. I hope you call in and suggest it. Bob Barker passed away. How about game show songs? That would be a ton of fun. But whatever you like, your favorite artist, genre, or theme, keep it creative, but also keep it kind of easy because I'm working by myself this week. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. That's 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. And on the other side of the break, we will tell you who is choosing all the music for Throwback Thursday. And if you want it to be Little Shop of Horrors, I'm halfway there.
Are we going to get it?
You're gonna get it.
I get paid for this. It, of course, is time for Throwback Thursday, and unfortunately, nobody took me up on my Ulysses Hernandez-themed Little Shop of Horrors round.
Are we going to get it?
You're gonna get it.
But for Throwback Thursday this week, the guy that gets to choose all of it is going to be Jason. Jason, you're on the John Phillips Show. What do you want to hear tomorrow?
Hi, Randy. This is Jason. I wanted to hear songs from the band Kansas.
Like Carry On My Wayward Son, Kansas?
Yes, sir, because that's where I live.
Like Point of No Return, Kansas?
All of them.
All right, I'm going to need to look up some because those are the only two I know off the top of my head. But Kansas, all right, well, you got it. Love Kansas.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. And apparently we have a listener all the way out in Kansas. That's fantastic, which I totally understand. There are a lot of people that used to live in Southern California. They did move somewhere else, and I've heard the talk radio in other places. It ain't this. This is as good as it's going to get. So, yes, whether you're on vacation somewhere, whether you're moving somewhere, take us with you. We're here for you. We'll take care of you. We're on the iHeart app, KBC.com. I think we're coming out with a new version of our app. We'll announce that when that's ready. But, yeah, make sure you listen to us and download the podcast because we're always here for you. Now, something happened earlier today that is not surprising, but it sure is upsetting and even a little depressing. There has been quite a lot of talk in Washington, D.C. this year about our aged, decrepit politicians. Like this guy.
And then we went to sleep.
Or Dianne Feinstein, who has had a whole litany of health problems, and apparently it might be a victim of elder abuse with her late husband's children. And on top of all that, she is so checked out when she actually does show up to work, she has to be told how to vote from her staffers. But we've also seen Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, 81 years young, have incident after incident after incident that have shown that at this point, there might just be a need for an age limit on members of Congress and members of the Senate. Because for the second time in a month, Mitch McConnell at a press conference completely froze. And this time, it was when he was being asked about running for re-election.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
That's nothing. Completely frozen. Oh, staffer's coming up.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Oh, still frozen. Nothing. Nothing.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
He's just standing there,
Penny.
not moving. Could be having a stroke. Who knows? They're just letting him stand there. Nothing? Oh, here's the other staffer.
okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
How many people do we have that are writing and passing the most important laws in our country that are not capable of standing and answering a question, that are not capable of carrying on a sentence. This is elder abuse to put these people up there. But what do we do about it? We've got an 80-year-old running for re-election. We've got a 78-year-old running against him. And we've got members of Congress who have no idea where they are or what they're doing. But again, this is on us. We elect all of these people. You know, back in 2020, there were 20 people running for the Democrat nomination, and the one that won was oldie.
Quite frankly,
Dianne Feinstein was up for re-election in 2018. 2018. And she won handily over Kevin De Leon. But that was because Kevin De Leon was Kevin De Leon. We keep electing the olds, so I don't know if we get to complain when the olds can't function in the halls of Congress. But, poor Mitch. That's just, it's just upsetting. Like, at what point do you hang it up? But who's going to give up power? Not these people. And it's time to open up the KABC Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
Imagine you're having your house renovated. Maybe you're staying with a friend for a couple weeks. Maybe you're putting yourself up in a hotel. And while your home is being worked on, burglars break in so many times at one point they have a party. Well, that's what happened to one woman who had her house broken into several times while it was supposed to be getting worked on. For more, here's Fox 11.
Burglars first broke into the home, which, as you said, is under renovation about 2 weeks ago. And the homeowners say as soon as detectives finished processing the scene and the crime tape came down, the burglars were back.
Might want to leave the crime tape up perpetually.
Even held a party there.
In perpetuity.
Even held a party there. They ransacked the entire house and stole more than $400,000 worth of items.
Okay, you know what? I know that, we're still in a writer's strike and an actor's strike. But I want to see the movie. Somebody start writing that script today so as soon as the strike's over, it can get greenlit, of the burglars who threw a house party at the house they broke into that was being renovated. Come on. That's angsty teen comedy all over it.
Even held a party there. They ransacked the entire house and stole more than $400,000 worth of items.
What was in this house?
There was nothing sacred.
Jean Aaron Barker says she feels as turned upside down as her Bradbury home.
They didn't leave me anything.
After she spoke to Fox 11 almost 2 weeks ago, she says burglars broke into her home, which was being remodeled, 4 more times.
Jeez. That is awful and ridiculous and shows you the lawlessness that we're facing here.
I feel like I'm raped. I mean, it's like a rape.
Yikes. Okay. I don't want to at all, I got to take this woman's feelings into consideration. If that's how she feels, that's how she feels. I just didn't expect that.
I feel like I'm raped. I mean, it's like a rape. Everything is there, a repeated rape, essentially. With all my personal things taken, my personal memories. There's nothing left of me.
Her boyfriend, Gary Ackerman, hired a private company to live monitor security cameras.
How'd that work out?
Who then called 911 during the 5th burglary on Saturday. Deputies arrested.
So wait, after the first 4, they didn't hire security? Something's weird about this story. It's awful, but the house gets broken into 5 times. At what point do you stop the renovations?
Deputies arrested these 5 people as they were leaving the property and believe they can tie at least 2 to the prior break-ins.
You think? Maybe they're the ones who threw the house party.
And I stay up all night. I'm frightened that soon they'll be back out on the streets.
That's why the couple is calling on the district attorney and the judge to keep the suspects locked up.
Impose the stiffest penalties possible, because after 5 times, this time, but they even have priors, there's no stopping them.
Well, and if this is George Gascon County, There's no stopping them now that they are arrested.
We got some wobbly knees allies.
Because even if they broke into that house 5 times, as long as they didn't pepper spray anybody, that's a nonviolent crime. Cite and release.
It's made L.A. County lawless and dangerous.
Barker believes she'll never regain the items that were stolen, including family videos and this ring from her late husband.
They took my wedding dress and my wedding ring.
And she says the house she once loved no longer feels like home.
I feel so invaded.
Yeah, it's time to flip it and sell it, which is going to be tough in this market, especially if you did all those renovations, but it's time to get out. I don't know if I would ever feel safe again knowing my home was broken into that many times.
Now, you've seen the photos. Detectives are now trying to determine whether any of those suspects are connected to any other burglaries. If you recognize them or have any information on other possible crimes, detectives here at Temple Station would like to hear from you.
Imagine being so unafraid of the law enforcement response. You not only break into the same house repeatedly, which, what do you think you got on your 5th time around that you didn't get on your 4th time around? But not only are you not worried about the owners finding out or doing anything about it, you're not worried about the law enforcement. You throw a party. Again, fantastic idea for a movie. Let's get something out of this. Make sure the homeowners get a little taste of the back end. But I want to see the burglary house party movie. Are Kid and Play still around? All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for emailing. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you so much for downloading the podcasts of this show and sharing them with your friends. You can always email us, whether we're on the air or off the air, at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com with your questions, comments, and hey, if you have a drop that you like on the show, I will email it to you. Just tell me what you want. I've got 350 of them. And I got a lot of MP3s to send out. So if you want to drop from the show, whatever it is.
Ooh, this doesn't look too good.
Make it a ringtone if you know how to do that. We'll see you tomorrow, noon to 3 for Throwback Thursday, Kansas Music Edition. So if you got a song you like from Kansas, then we'll play it for you. See you tomorrow, everybody. It's the John Phillips Show on KBC.
Are we going to get it? Are we going to get it? Are we going to get it? Are we going to get it?